Hello guys, in this video we will look at Flask SqlAlchemy models. Uh, we will look at how we can use models in Flask application and what does models mean in the basic definition. So in Flask, models translate to our data definition or data schema. When we have defined any or created any table in our database, we can translate that table into our models. So by simplest definition, it is a database schema or the structure of our data that we have defined in our database, whether we are using Postgres or we are using MySQL. And then we can define the similar sort of design or structure of that table into our Flask application. Now the question is, why do we use models? Models, first of all, they follow of ORM, which is a relational mapping between your code and the database. So that means whatever operation you perform programmatically, it will translate to your database, or it will reflect in your database. So it can be any operation, like it can be a create, it can be update, it can be delete. So if you are calling any method, let's suppose create in the model, it will create or it will execute a insert or a query into your database. So we will go in detail about this. So first of all, let us create a basic model in our Flask application. So right now you can see I have created this folder named profile, and I have three modules inside of it, which is controller, models, and routes. So we define our models in this module, which is models.py. So I will go ahead and create one model, db.model. So that means all the attributes and methods present on this parent module will be inherited by the user model. So now I will create one column, which is an ID. So again, this ID will translate to your, or it will map with your table ID. Okay, and you also need to be careful that whatever attribute you define here, those attributes have to be present in your table, which means those columns have to be present in your table. If you define any additional column, it might give you some unexpected behavior. It can throw the error. Okay, we'll define our attributes. So first of all, I will write an ID. Now to define this ID, I will write db column, which will be the class which will define our columns into our database. So this db column takes an other set of attributes which say what type of column we are defining. So in our case, it will be an integer. So I will write integer. Other attributes are primary key, whether we want it to be a primary key. I will pass by primary key as true. And one more is nullable, whether we are setting it as nullable or not. So it is an ID, it should not be nullable. I will keep it as false. And the last one is the auto increment, which states whether our column should increment on each data entry. So this one, which way true. In a similar fashion, I will create a couple more columns and I will rename them. This one will be name, and this one we will name it as email, which will save an email address. This one I will write an age, and you can go ahead and create columns according to your needs. In our case, email and name should not be integer, they should be strings. So I will simply change them to string. Oops. And they are also not uniquely identifying columns. So I will remove the primary key of it, since we should have only one primary key. Also the auto increment. And lastly, the nullable attribute on them, we want them to be optional. So we will go ahead and change these false attributes to true. So now we have name, email, and age. Okay, so now we have defined our model. Now we need to reflect this model into our database. We reflect this model or we create an exact definition of data in our database is we simply perform a migration. Now in Flask, we perform migration using a couple of commands. First one, the way we perform migration is we first write Flask db init which will initialize the directory which will hold all the migration files. So we will write Flask dbnit. Okay, so here we are getting an error. So here if you see, we have a typo in our class name. This is actually a column. Now we will change it to every class. Now we will perform this command again. Now you can see it created a folder named instance and migration files as well. Let's perform the Flask db migrate first. You can see it has performed a migration. After init, we have to perform Flask db migrate, which will migrate all the changes that we have done. So it will create a migration file. Now if I open this file and I go to this folder which is versions, I can see a migration file which containing all these methods which are creating this table. Now after migration, I have to simply upgrade. Now this will execute this program and it will create a relational table into our database. I will go to this. You can see we have a table here with a similar column. Now this way we create a model in our Flask application. Now using this model, we can perform all the database operations that we want on this table. It can be insert, create, delete. We can also perform joins using these models, and we can also create complex columns like JSON. We can create validations on the columns. So all the complex stuff we can do. So in our next video, I will show you how to perform joins, how to write queries using SqlAlchemy, and how to write API endpoints that will in turn return the data from the database. Thank you.